You know, Mr. President, you took over a little bit more than 10 years ago, right? Widely perceived to be a transitional figure. You were not going to be number one. You were going to spend a few years running the country, and then somebody more decisive and somebody stronger and so forth was going to take over. But you confounded the skeptics. You took charge, and you're still very much in charge. Why do you believe that perhaps you were underestimated?
I was the mayor, then the party secretary in Shanghai. In fact, I did not think that I would be transferred to the Central Committee here in Beijing. But finally, I was the man who was selected. Deng Xiaoping and other leaders of the older generation wanted me to become General Secretary of the Communist Party. I did not expect this. However, I've been in this position for 11 years, and I've always held a conviction that I need to do my very best to serve my country and my motherland. And maybe it was because of my hard work and my diligence that I still have the job.
The shorter answers. You know the United States. Shorter answers, please. More concise.
But I think my answer is roughly the same length as your question.
I know it. That's absolutely true.
If you make concise and brief questions, I'll give you brief answers.
You studied the speeches of Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln as a youngster? When you were learning English?
In fact, I was in middle school. And later, when I was a teacher in the night school in Shanghai, I also selected Lincoln's Gettysburg Address as part of my course. And maybe you want me to quote some lines from that speech.
I do indeed.
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Why did you learn that by heart?
I'm particularly interested in the phrase, all men are created equal.
That all men are created equal.
Because this was a great influence on the students when I was in middle school. And I think what Abraham Lincoln described in his article still remains the goal of American leaders today.
Especially the last paragraph, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, never pushed from others.
But Abraham Lincoln was elected by the people, correct?
That's right.
Why is it that Americans can elect their national leaders, but you apparently don't trust the Chinese people to elect your national leaders? Why?
I also believe that I am an elected leader, although we use different ways of election. The only difference between China and the United States on this specific question is the different systems of election that we use in our two countries. Because China has its own historical tradition, its own level of education, of economic development and social development, and so on. So I think each country should have its own individual system of election.
Of course. But I don't understand still why you have a one-party state. What would happen? What would happen in China if there were 2 or 3 parties? Isn't it conceivable that, as in the United States, the competition between the parties to represent the majority of the people in that country make for a better country?
Why is it necessary to have opposition parties? It shows that you don't understand Chinese history. Americans think the whole world should adopt American values and the American political system. I don't think that is wise.
And there is not freedom of the press here. There is not. We see a connection between freedom of the people and freedom of the press. What do you fear from a free press?
I think all countries and parties must have their own publications to publicize their ideas. We do have freedom of the press, but such freedom should be subordinate to and serve the interest of the nation. How can you allow such freedom to damage the national interests?
You have blocked internet sites here in China, the BBC, the Washington Post. Why? Why block an internet site? You don't trust the people somehow to be able to pick stuff up off the internet and learn?
这问题实际上我跟你刚才谈新闻自由。
We hope people will learn a lot of useful things from the internet. However, sometimes there is also unhealthy material, especially pornography on the internet, which does great harm to our youngsters.
Not from the BBC and not from the Washington Post.
是希望从这个 Internet 上面。
They might be banned because of some of their political news reports. We need to be selective. We hope to restrict as much as possible information not conducive to China's development.
快来订阅通识，按旁边小铃铛给我们点赞和分享哦。如果有什么想说的，也欢迎在下面多多留言呀。